Guys are new here, what's the deal? And if you guys are old, what that shit do? Alright? Keep in mind these messages are general, so if it doesn't apply, let it fly. Catch me on the next one, and hopefully it sticks, okay? So, collective. I'm still in bed, so my voice is like on Barry White right now, okay? But the thing is, I woke up with a heavy heart, okay? And the reason and how I even got this download, um, I feel like in the tarot community, hey Tainted, Rise and Shine, hey Z, hey y'all, hey Soul Fam. Um, the reason that got me to this download was I feel like in the tarot community, um, it's very important to support each other, you know. Um, and even us as being readers, we as well go through our own life challenges. And sometimes some people don't understand that when we are put in position to be of a light for God's children, um, sometimes that helps us, you know? Um, so before I get into the main spill of the download, Um, I just want to take a moment to send some love and light to Fire Intuition. Okay. If you guys are not aware with her, she is also a reader. Um, and man, like reading her post literally made me want to cry. Because for those of you that don't know, Fire Intuition had lost her son to gun violence. And then a couple days later, or like a week or so later, she ended up losing her father. And then this morning, what brought me the heavy heart was the fact that her child's father had took his life, you know? And I can only imagine what she is going through. So I'm just asking y'all for someone, from someone who does follow her, to go over to her channel, show her some love, send a prayer under her post, you know, because that's heavy, you know. That's really heavy to lose your child's father, your son, and your dad all within the same month. Um, so yeah, like I would, if you would want to do anything for me, it would just be to go over to Fire Intuition's page, subscribe to her, give her love, support, and some positive words, okay? Um, Now, when it comes to the message, um, there is somebody here that I'm feeling wants a moment of your time, okay? Um, and not only do I feel like it's someone, but I feel like this is like Big G wanting somebody's time. You know, maybe this is somebody who spends their time on everything else, but giving time to him, you know. When you wake up in the morning, thank him for allowing you to see another day. You know, when you feel like you don't have anybody else that you can talk to, you can definitely always talk to him. And I feel like Big G has been nudging at somebody to come to them. Now, the song that came to mind in regards to this message, it's a song that I play because every time I feel like my back is up against the wall and, I just don't know which direction to go, I'll always play Yolanda Adams' Open My Heart. Um, and I don't know, maybe y'all just have a certain song for y'all that just does it for you. But for me, that would be the song for me. Um, it's like somebody here is wanting some type of guidance, okay? And like I always say, sometimes Big G will bring people into your life that will help guide you and change the trajectory of the route that you once was on, you know? And that can, and you know, we all have free will. You know what I'm saying? Um, don't cry, taint it. Cause listen, I was trying not to before I got onto this message, but sometimes, you know, like I said, Big G will bring people into your life um, that will help you go towards the path that he has set for you. You know, and when we have free will and we choose to go in directions that we choose to go in, um, without consulting with him, you know, sometimes those paths can lead us in around people and places and things that are just not healthy or safe for us, you know. Um, and just speaking of, again, supporting, because a lot of people, you know, have their own perception when it comes to people that are spiritual workers or light workers. And I just want to give a prime example as to like when you are drawn to a certain reader of light, um, it's no coincidence as to why even my messages may resonate with you guys. You never know how that may save a life or a connection. Um, there's another reader by the name of uh, Spiritual Sag, and you guys can go over and follow her page as well. Um, but I remember before my brother had passed away, I was listening to one of her readings, and she was speaking. And at the time, like me and my brother were like kind of at odds, and she, like, bruh, when the whole situation happened, like all I could think about was her words that helped me get out of my stubbornness. Okay. And in the reading, she was speaking about how uh, she was like, there's a brother here that's not going to be here for long. So talk to them, you know. And you know, death has no age, as we can see when it comes to my girl, Fire Intuition. You know, even though she is her mother, she lost her son. Some of you guys could have lost a child. Um, because it can go both ways, you know what I'm saying? Somebody younger than you could pass away, or somebody older than you can pass away. Um, but yeah, in the reading, she was speaking about how there was a brother energy who's not going to be there long and to like make things right. And I just really felt like God positioned me on that day at that time for me to hear that message from her. And instantly, you know, it got me out of my stubbornness on just wanting to take that step towards making the relationship right with my brother. And I'm glad I did, because had I didn't, like with him passing away, it would have been even heavier for me to grieve that, you know, knowing that I got that confirmation and I did nothing about it, you know? So it's just making me think of like the last hug that I had got from my brother. It was like on Mother's Day. We had all went to the park and whatnot. And that was the first time my mom had like all her kids together and whatever. And I remember I wanted to have a sidebar conversation with him, but we were enjoying the moment so much to where we didn't get a chance to have that sidebar. And I just genuinely think that that was for a reason, you know. Um, but as a trigger warning, um, as far as like suicide energy, for anybody that could be going through anything and they feel like they don't have anyone to talk to, um, I highly recommend you taking the time to speak to Big G. You know, I know sometimes it's easier said than done, or maybe you haven't yet um, cultivated a relationship with him. Um, But I just always feel like when all else fails, like no, no matter what you go through, whether it's right or wrong, if it's one person that's going to life um, to make it better, definitely confine with him. Okay. Hey, Roll, blessings on blessings. So one of my friends had sent me this post, and it was talking about the 8 minute rule. For those of you who are not familiar with it, I got my tablet here. This is something that you can implement into y'all friendships or relationships, because oftentimes when you at that point, I'm pretty sure where you feel like you don't have nobody to talk to, sometimes people can just feel as though like they just don't want to be here anymore. Or sometimes like the burdens of things are just so heavy, and they feel like, again, they didn't have nobody to talk to. So it's like, why even be here, right? But even just speaking on that collective, for whoever may be going through that, it's like your life matters, and you are needed. You are needed. And I just wanted to remind you that in life, no matter how much, especially that we live in a social media world where everything is painted to be perfect and all together and whatever the case may be, um, is not to say that, and this is not to play down whatever it is that you may be going through, but just so you can feel included. We all, you know what I'm saying, go through trials and tribulations, and not everybody knows how to handle those things, right? But it's so important for you to have people in your life um, that when you do need to talk about certain things and unpack, that you feel safe enough to do that, you know? She had sent me this clip. It was talking about the 8 minute rule. So I'm gonna read it from my tablet. It says the 8 minute rule for friends, popularized by Simon Sinek. Somebody's name could be Simon, or just the ways in which it made me think of Simon Says. The ways in which like you have been operating collective, I feel like it's causing a lot of people to kind of mirror those things as well, because they see that it's been helping you in some way, shape, or form, right? Or maybe the things in which you say, people follow. That's why, the tongue is a powerful thing. So it says, suggests that just 8 minutes of focused, intentional listening from a friend can make someone feel seen, connected, and less alone during a tough time without needing to solve the problem. It's a shorthand code like texting, "Do you have 8 minutes?" that signals a need for immediate support, allowing anyone to step away from tasks to provide a brief but meaningful connection that boosts well being and combats isolation, according to the New York Times article. Okay, so somebody here can be from New York, that can be significant, or lived in New York. And that's something that me and one of my friends had implemented into our friendship, you know, because in the post, I think it was saying something about like the friend text them and was like, "Hey, you got a minute?" And I think they didn't respond or whatever. They just probably thought it was nothing, right? But the whole time the friend was going through something, and that became like their code word to let them know, like, in other words, "Hey, I'm really going through it. I don't have anybody else to talk to. Can I talk to you?" Okay. um And I just think that's very important, because I mean, shit, we got 24 hours in a day, you know? And you just never know how a simple conversation or connection could just really make somebody feel seen. We are all human beings, no matter at what level of life may be kicking your ass. I don't know why it's making me think about. I don't know if y'all remember earlier last year. Um, Somebody's name could be Steve. Um, but when you're at it makes me think of when you're at your lowest, God is at His nearest, right? Um, And I say that because it's so easy for when you do feel low, right? It's so easy for low vibe type of people around them to uplift them, to help them see the light. You know, it's I hear step into the light, Carolyn. Somebody's name could be Carolyn, Caroline. Um, Somebody can be into fashion as well because it made me think of the animation Caroline. You know, how she had the button eyes. Um, but yeah, it made me think of it. Um, Earlier last year, I had went to the spa. I was having a really heavy day, and you know, I got a real decked off location that I like to go to kind of decompress and just get my mind right and just feel at ease. And I remember I was like, dang, I'm hungry. So I was like, let me grab something to eat before I go in there. Because once you pay, you go in, you can't go in and out. So it was like a taco stand that was like across the street or whatever, right? And so I went over there and I paid for my and I just wanted to use cash. I didn't really want to use my card. So went, got me something to eat, and as I'm waiting for my food, it's this homeless guy. He had came and I seen him look like, grabbing a soda and he only had like $1 in his hand, whatever. So like I don't know, something just told me to ask him. I was like, you want a soda? He was like, yeah. So I asked the dude, I was like, oh, how much is the soda? He was like $1.50. First off, $1.50 for a can of Pepsi is crazy. But anyhow, he was like, yes, $1.50. So I was like, yeah. He was like, I told him, I was like, yeah, I'll get you a soda. I was like, you not hungry? And he was like, no. And I was like, you sure? And he's like, no. And I was like, well, what about later? And then he kind of like hesitated and he was just like, okay. So um, it was crazy because, again, the workers was looking at me like, why are you talking to this guy? Like, why are you helping him? If you basically like giving that feeling of like, if you help him, then he's going to patronize our business and just think that everybody else is about to come and do this and do that. And it's like, well, shit, being that he don't really got shit, for me to get that vibe is like, why would you not want somebody to? You still getting paid at the end of the fucking day. You know what I'm saying? Anywho, because I was so irritated about the look the guy was giving me when with helping him, right? And so I got my food before his, of course, and then I waited to make sure that he got his food too. Being that I got that vibe from them, I was like, nah, I'm gonna make sure he gets his shit, and they don't just like take the money. And surprisingly, all the cash that I had on me paid for both his and mine. Like on the, it was just so weird to me. It wasn't weird, but it was just like, dang, it was like exact cash that I had on me paid for me and his meal and his drink. So as I'm waiting for him to get his food, I'm talking to him, and I'm like, yeah, I'm like, what's your name? And he was like, he said the devil or whatever, and I was like, no, what's your real name? And he was like Steve, and I was like, nice to meet you, Steve. And we just chopped it up or whatever. But it's something here in regards to this message about like how somebody feels about you when they look you in your eyes. It's like, or maybe you have an ability of like when you look people in their eyes, you know how they say eyes are the windows to the soul? Like you see past the facade, you see past however they may be displayed, and you really have a way of like seeing people's heart collective, you know? And if you ask me, that's a pretty dope superpower, because sometimes people will pay more attention to how you look, even with Steve being the homeless guy. He was dirty. He did not seem welcomed over there or whatever. Or, we not listen, people that are on the street had whole lives before they got to that point, you know? Maybe those people didn't have a friend where they could text and be like, hey, You got 8 minutes. Not everybody has access to people that can help lift them up in the midst of their trials and their tribulations. You know what I'm saying? But when I looked into his eyes, it just felt so wholesome. It felt so wholesome. And I didn't get any negative vibe from him. But the fact that uh, he even mentioned that his name was Satan or the devil, you know, um, just shows like how when you're at a low point as deceiving the devil can be, it could really corrupt you, you know. And even saying corrupt, I don't know why it made me think of. You remember, y'all know that Janae Aiko song? I forgot what song it was, but when he was at the end and he was telling Janae, that made me think of my brother, man. He was like, I'm your brother. He was like, I'm your big bro. I got you. Like, collective, you may not understand, and this is something that I'm learning too. Um, why, sometimes people are just really drawn to talk to you, you know? Like, I can't even count on I don't even have enough hands to count on my fingers how many times, even just having certain jobs and stuff like that, how people will literally come up and talk to me and tell me the deepest shit. You know what I'm saying? As far as what's going on. And I feel like people that are drawn to you in that type of way just feel like you have the capacity or the heart space um, to say something to them to make them feel seen, you know? I'm reading the chat, y'all. Tana said, no matter how hard you try to let them know you are there, they force you away. These people choose to be in those situations sometimes. And that is very true. And that's very true because I feel like when some people are just so accustomed to handling things by themselves, it's so hard for people to saying sometimes with some people asking for help to them can be as a sign of weakness, like what, I got this, I can do this by myself, you know what I'm saying? But everybody needs help, everybody needs support, you know. um, if you think that you can go throughout this life without that, it's like you carrying way more burdens than you should be, you know what I'm saying? Because you know how, again, you can be going through things, and sometimes like you just gotta give it to God. Like, as long as much as we have free will, we can only control what we can control, and for the things that we can't, as far as like how people think about us, or um, people just not understanding what you're going through. Those certain, and I'm pretty sure it's plenty of other things, but those type of things, you got to just hand it over to Big G, because you never know how he will bring a certain type of person into your life to help you, whether it's mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, spiritually, whatever, like, and the thing is, like, some people, Big Big G is gonna talk to you in a way in which you're gonna understand it. The way he talks to other people is gonna be in the way in which they understand it. And that's what people, I feel like, don't understand when it comes to the ways in which people reach God. Some people may, again, look at tarot and be like, oh, this is demonic and that's not godly and things like that. But it's like, why are these things here? Why did he instill certain light into people that have the ability to speak life into people in order to connect them with him? he knew that people would talk down on light workers and the things that we do, but for the right ears, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's everywhere. He's not just in one place. He talks to us all the time through people, through signs, through synchronicities, whatever you deem is important to you. That that initial thought you feel like is like, I feel like the I feel like the universe is telling me something. That be him sending those things. So nothing is ironic. Like, when he made this earth, he was very particular in the ways in which and very creative, okay, in the ways in which he would connect people to him. There's always a positive side of things and there's always a negative side of things. Just like how water is good for you, drinking too much of it could be bad for you as well. And the same goes for everything else. But with some people, when they only choose to look at things from a point of view, you know what I'm saying? They lose sight in seeing how expansive he is. You know what I'm saying? Z said, but opening up is the first step to healing. Exactly. What's that? I think it's called Fertile Soul. Let me see. Maybe let me drop some. Let me put y'all onto some songs. And I always say, for those that be searching for new music, somebody here could be in the music industry. But it's this song by I think Fertile Soul. It's in one of my playlists. Let me see. First off, let me tell y'all, I just updated my phone yesterday, and I like how Apple Music transitions the songs. And I was like, see, Apple, that's the type of upgrades I be wanting. Like, it meshes the songs as it transitions into the next song. If y'all haven't updated your phone, do it and go to your Apple Music and see. But I was like, oh, I like that. But there's this song by, where is it? It is, I think it's called Fertile Soul, or it's by Fertile Soul, featuring Londrell. Damn, is it in this playlist? Let me just Google it. Hold on, y'all. But in part of the song, he says you can't heal it if you can't feel it. Like some people be in denial that they not hurting. Hold on, it's called Free Soul. FR33SOL. Yeah, that's what it's called, Fertile Soul. But his name is Free Soul. So yeah, you spell it FR33SOL, right? And this song is called Fertile Soil. Some of you guys can like to plant, or like you have plants. That can be significant as well. But yeah, I highly recommend. And you know how they say music is very influential. It it even from back in the day, y'all, like music influences us to feel a certain type of way, to think a certain type of way, and to move a certain type of way. So maybe somebody here is changing up the type of music that they're listening to. Okay, but I highly recommend listening to that song, because he'd be like, wait, how does it go? Let go to grow. Yeah. with some love and attention. We gonna live out our garden. Yeah, listen to that. Some of you guys could be starting a garden too. And even in the aspects of love that I'm getting right now is, you know how that expression they say, like the grass ain't greener on the other side. The grass is greener, what they say, wherever you water it at. You know, I feel like it's a lot of emotions that I feel like a lot of people have been feeling. I'm getting that Destiny's Child song, Emotions. Um, it takes two when it comes to connections, friendships, or anything. Nothing solely can grow without the other, right? Um, I don't know why I keep picturing like a garden or something like that. Somebody really could be getting into like doing whatever you feel like is therapy to you, whether that's gardening or, doing something just to make things grow or people grow. For me, it's getting on here and talking to y'all. Because as much as I speak on certain type of things, it helps me grow as well with the certain type of downloads that I be getting from Big G. You know, it's given like each one teach one. But there is somebody in the love department that I feel like definitely wants to grow with you, collective. And maybe they don't know how. You know how like somebody wants to get into gardening, right? And they're like, man, where do I start? You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to do some research. You got to do some studying. You got to, know what works right with that certain type of seed, that certain type of person. And ultimately, you'll see the more you look into that said thing or that said person, and you learn, what works best with it, then you'll see growth from it. But that comes with conversations, that comes with understanding. Okay? So there is, aside from Big G, like nudging at somebody as far as him urging someone to come to them if all else fails, there is somebody here that feels like you are like the perfect person that they feel like they can talk to when it comes to whatever it is that they're going through, and that's a flex within itself, because like you never know, collective, how much I don't feel like you understand or know how much your cup overflows with you just being someone that someone can just have as a listening ear. 3333 was just on the clock. Like, a lot of balance is about to be happening in this current season, all across the board, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, financially. And I feel like it's merely because of those seeds that you have planted into people, into situations, into things, and into helping Big G with other people that he knew needed you. Okay? So when you feel led to speak to someone or talk to them, do so. Because we are on borrowed time. We're not all going to be here for a long time. So when you feel like, you're not growing because of because that conversation has been had, or whatever the case may be, you have it. You never know how much of a burden it will take off of you. Whether it's a cross watcher here or whether it's you in itself, okay? 444 was just on the clock. It was 3444. Like, your angels are surrounding you. And sometimes, like, people who bear this type of energy, they don't know when they're talking to an angel. And it's merely just based off of, like, the way in which you make people feel seen, collective. You make people feel heard. And that's so important. And You know how they say a little goes a long way? You never know when somebody is on their last straw and you feel led to tell them something, and that again changes the trajectory of where they see themselves going, or what they had planned to do for themselves. Okay? So always make yourself available, whether it's a minute, 2 or 8 minutes, you know, um, to give your time to people. Because, like I said, we got 24 hours in a day, and you never know how a simple conversation can save someone's life or help them. All right. So I love you guys, collective, and like I said, don't forget to go over to Fire Intuition's page and just send her some love and some support and some kind words, because she is definitely going through something that's very heavy, and we all handle grief differently. So if you are able to be of a light and show love to someone who is going through something, to remind them that they are needed, that they are seen, that they are cared for, then do that. Okay, I love all of you guys, and I appreciate y'all for rocking with me, and just simply even being here on this channel, because I'm trying to tell y'all, like, talks with y'all are so therapeutic. Just not even just for me, but to be able to be of a light to you guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what you guys are going through individually, but if in some way or somehow my messages can resonate with you guys and give y'all that pickup that y'all need, you know what I'm saying? Then that is the greatest reward to me, you know? So I love you guys. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Put that bell on so you know when your girl is having a tea. And I can't even get my words together. And when you know that it's hot, and I'll catch y'all on the next one, okay? Have a good day.